And if you have good mental health, you're more likely to make good decisions. So that is to judge the risks in making a business decision, to make sure that you're employing the best strategy. And if you're mentally healthy, you're able to have better relationships. So you're able to connect with other people, and you're able to understand their viewpoint. And these things are very important to making the most opportune business decisions.
Wow. But is it possible that somebody mental health is not somebody does not have a good mental health? Is it a possibility?
Yes. Yeah. So what we know is about 20% of people at some time in their life will have issues with mental health, and that can have a devastating effect on their family life and their occupation, and their general enjoyment of themselves and the people around them.
Wow. So that means that is there a way we can know as an individual if you have a good mental health? Is there a way we can know?
Yes, there are many different ways to kind of judge the goodness of your mental health. But the easiest one is to check in with yourself routinely and ask yourself, well, how do I feel about myself? How do I feel about the world around me? So generally, if you're mentally healthy, you'll tend to be happier than not. Yeah, so if you're feeling sad or down all of the time, or you're feeling angry or anxious much of the time, then you might want to check your mental health.
Wow. But is there a way we can get treated for mental health? Is there a way?
Yes, there are lots of services out there to assist you with your mental health. I'm really not sure about in Africa if there are many free support lines, that kind of thing. But here in Australia, we have a lot of support lines and free mental health services where you can go online and you can do online screening questions to check your mental health. To check your mental health, and then to get some support if you need it. Enhance your mental health is to connect with your friends and family often, to check in. And other support structures like groups that
apparently is that we can actually check our mental health if we are good or not by the level of our happy we are or how we respond to things around us. And you also said
enhance your brain health. So exercising, eating well, and not drinking too much or doing other things that can disrupt your physical health.
So apparently means that if we take care of our physical health, it will automatically improve our mental health.
Yeah, it gives us the best chance to improve our mental health.
Wow.
So, healthy body, healthy brain, healthy mind. And certainly there's lots of practices, if you want to engage in them, there's lots of practices that you can do that will help with your mental health. So, for example, something as simple as keeping a diary where you write down your thoughts from day to day, and then going back and reading it and checking, well, what was my thinking like then? If I could contact myself back on that day from today, would I have some wise words for myself?
Wow.
Also, a current trend is mindfulness, so practicing meditations, practicing stillness. These are easy things to do. For example, going out and watching a sunset and really paying attention to it. taking some time out just to listen to what your mind says without interacting with it, just watching the thoughts bubble up. And sort of asking yourself, well, if this was somebody else saying these things to me, what would I think about my relationship with that person? And so if it's, the thoughts that are bubbling up in your head are, not nice, then, checking the things that you say to yourself can be a good way to improve your relationship with yourself.
Okay, this sounded fantastic. I want to ask you, at this time of COVID-19, is there anything that we have to do about our mental health right now?
Yeah, so, most people are fairly social, and the COVID-19 means that we're not socialising as we usually do. So taking steps like communicating online, can help to enhance that. So overcoming the loneliness by creating, groups in various chats that are around. Staying active. One of the things with COVID is that often people can't do their normal work and they can't do their normal recreational activities. So setting a routine for yourself can help to keep you on track. So not letting your sleep, for example, get off track by sleeping in and then staying up all night. That can really throw your body rhythms out, and that can affect your mental health.
So in response to a lot of anxiety out there that people are having about COVID-19, how do we manage our mental health that it doesn't affect us? Because it seems that some people are getting anxious than even having the sickness. So some people that does not really have the sickness, but the fear of the sickness is already making them sick. But how do we begin to respond to these from the mental health point of view?
That's a very good question. And yes, I just want to point out that if there is some threat in the world around us, our brains start to work in the same way a creature that is being hunted behaves. So if we think about that, right, the antelope is on the plain and the lion is hunting it, the antelope knows. So what does the antelope do? It starts looking around for the lion, right? It starts looking around for threats. And so it might see a bush that looks a bit like a lion, all of a sudden it reacts with fear. And when there's a situation like this COVID situation, the reality is the likelihood, so the probability of having COVID or being exposed to it is actually reasonably low. So it's important to kind of address any of these fear kind of thoughts that you're having and to tell yourself, well, the likelihood is I don't have COVID. If you have been exposed, to go and get tested. But if you're taking all the reasonable precautions, like washing your hands, keeping the social distancing, then in all likelihood you probably don't have the virus. So, little aches and pains, seasonal allergies, any kind of other reaction doesn't mean that you have the virus. So it's about being very realistic with yourself about that.
So is it basically keep reminding ourselves that we don't have it instead of getting afraid of that we have it, and if there's a reason why we feel that we have it, we should quickly go for the test and clear our mind of that, and
yes.
always have that we don't have it. It's better to have it in the position that we don't have it, so that the fear does not get us to do a lot of wrong things. Am I right?
Yeah, that's right. So once we think that there's something wrong with our body, right? It's kind of like, this is what it's like, right? If I say to you now, you're itchy, right? Some part of you is itching. Let's notice that the first thing that happens is that you recognize somewhere in your body that's itchy and you want to scratch it, right? And it's the same thing if we think there's something wrong with our body, we scan our bodies with our minds and we find something that fits the thing we're afraid of. So, as you all scratch your heads now because I've said you're itchy, it's the same kind of thing with being afraid of this virus.
Because we think we have it, we respond in a certain way that end up not helping our body or helping ourselves. So we should have a positive mindset. Like someone just said online, that basically having the positive mindset. I think that's amazing. I want to ask now, I know that you are eye consultant for government and private sector. If someone wants to do what you do now, what kind of education do they have to have, or what kind of study? How can they get to the position that you are right now? Because a lot of people admire you out there, and seeing a new field. Some of them, this field might be new to them, okay, but now they are seeing the value that the field has in terms of business, in terms of life generally. So if somebody has so much interest, like some people are indicating, what do they need to study? What do they need to do?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. To become a clinical psychologist, which is what I am, so I'm an expert in mental health disorders, it's quite a lot of study. So you have to do an undergraduate degree at university, and then you have to study a specific, so either a master's or a doctorate in clinical psychology in order to get your accreditations with the international, the bodies in each country that recognise our profession. So, it's 6 or 7 years of full-time study, and you have to understand how to conduct research and so forth. But psychology is only one way to help people with mental health issues. Easier pathways are, for example, the profession of counselling, where it's not so much about the science of the mind, but it's about the helping of other people. For example, here in Australia we have diploma courses. So if you've completed a degree in any profession, you can do a diploma level course and then be able to work and support people with mental illnesses in a different kind of role. So it's not necessarily in this kind of scientific way, it's just in a caring kind of capacity. That's kind of the both ends of the spectrum in terms of assisting people with mental health issues.
But do you have to be a doctor to be able to do this?
No. Plenty of my colleagues have either four-year degrees, so they don't have doctoral degrees, or they have master's level degrees. In order to do specifically what I do, you probably need a doctoral qualification. So I am also responsible for running the research on our programs and designing the programs to help traumatised people and injured people. So that's a bit different than just than doing the therapeutic work.
So I know that you're also a businessman. So how does this translate into business?
Yeah, because that's what it's all about here. First of all, I completed my qualifications and I ran a private practice for essentially 20 years. And a colleague of mine who I consulted to on he runs a medico-legal panel that I'm now a partner in. I started writing opinions for his panel, so that's when there's court cases about injury or criminal matters and they need an opinion from a mental health expert like myself. So I did, that was sort of how I connected up with Navigator, well, what's now Navigator Group. My colleague, Dr. Ray Wallace, he's an orthopaedic surgeon. We were sitting down one day because we were both in a different city consulting, and we ran into each other and we started talking about what we thought was wrong with, in particular, insured injuries and how injuries are managed and treated. And from there we started this new venture with our colleague, the business side, Mr. Paul Schmuppler. We all started this new venture, so we now have 3 additional businesses. It was really good to hear from Corey that he bootstrapped along with his other businesses. So we basically got these other 3 businesses going with no money, no startup capital. We were just working our usual jobs and spending our spare time, doing business development, producing these new services, acquiring technology, and then executing. So our first business our first additional business is the Navigator program, which is a independent support service for people who have been injured in the course of their work or in a motor vehicle accident. And we screen them for trauma and treat trauma over the telephone and via platforms like Zoom. And then we bought some technology out of Portugal, which is a virtual physiotherapy platform, and we paired that with the telemental health. And we are now running virtual clinics for injuries like whiplash, shoulder injuries, and other things. So that's how our business has evolved.
That sounds amazing. You see, I like the combination of you guys, because correct it started from you have to get some friends, but in your case, while you're working, you were doing the other business. Am I right? So you guys are using your spare time, your extra time, to create your business. That's amazing. That's another model. That means if you give your employer maybe 4 hours, the remaining hours that you have, you used to do something extra, which eventually became your business today.
That's right. Yeah.
That
so
is amazing.
So basically, we produced these two other businesses. We produced the minimal viable product and went and pitched, and all of that was done in our essentially our spare time or our extra business time while we were all doing our traditional consulting roles. And then we built the business from there. So so I can see there's a question on the screen. Our primary customers are insurance companies and government agencies, including New South Wales Health. And we've done a single cap raise, which was mid last year. And the goal of that capital raising round was not to secure funds. I mean, we still have all of that money in the bank. It was to invite investors into our company who we could use as channel partners to drive us into new markets. So often people think about a cap raising round as I want to get money to do things. That's not the only reason for doing a capital raising round. It's an invitation of interest from investors that can facilitate your business.
Wow, that's smart investor. That's basically smart investor. I remember about that. That's smart investor. When you get someone that not only bring in money, but can actually help grow your business. Maybe through his network or through a lot of leverage and all of that. So basically, the investor you guys were looking for at that time was basically the one that can lead you into a new market or new businesses. Am I right?
Absolutely. So they were a door opener. We have gotten our ideas in front. So in health, it's a very protected set of markets. The big players in health won't relinquish any ground. They have contact with, because it's all highly regulated. So they're on the inside with all the regulators and government agencies. So for us, it was imperative to get some doors opened so that we could take our MVP before it lost. So when you develop any kind of product, there's a lifetime in that product, right?
Yeah.
What's hot stuff today is everyday flavour tomorrow. So you have to get on the curve, you have to get in front of the right people, you have to develop your market quickly, because once an idea is out there, it's a land grab. And so we needed doors opened, and our investors are very good at doing that. And they're also really good at helping us to build our internal...
But before the investor actually came online, before you did your capital raising, was there any money you guys put together to do the MTV?
No, we basically sat down and designed it. It's predominantly the intellectual property of myself and my colleague, Dr. Wallace.
Oh,
I mean,
so
between us, we've seen 40,000 cases in
Wow.
sensible injury. And when we designed this service, we just started pitching. Like, we spent money, we jumped on planes, we got in front of the major players. That all comes from goodwill from our previous business. Like, we both have well-established reputations in the industry, and that got us in front of people. And we basically pitched our second business. We pitched, or my colleague Ray pitched it on a napkin at a business dinner.
Wow.
And it went from that within 2 weeks to, we're now in execution mode. So the thing I want to say is, you take every opportunity. Yeah. And Corey said, you've got to be confident. And I agree with that. And you take every opportunity to pitch. If you meet someone in an elevator at the end of a dinner, in a meeting, you pitch your idea, and you get their contact details, and you follow up.
So you can start asking your question. You can go ahead and start asking your question. So what I get from basically is that you guys have these resources with you, and you guys have your reputation, your network already. So it's leveraging on those established reputations. So if you're already in business and you need to start anything, so the advantage of those guys that are already working before is the advantage that you have a network. You have built a reputation already in the market. So when you're starting off, you can leverage on those reputation, those resources that you have built. So you don't necessarily have to look for money. So you guys immediately you just start pitching your idea because you have everything within you. And from there, people begin to invest in that idea. And moreover, you said initially, you don't necessarily need so much money. What you actually need is the access to new market, which was one of the reasons why you went to raise capital. But the reverse is the case in this part of the world, and a lot of people feel that to start every business is all about raising capital. And I keep saying that capital is really not, it's about the idea and about people ready to pay for the idea that's more important, which is what you have also demonstrated here. So you have the skills, and you begin to get people to believe in those ideas, and people begin to commit money into those ideas. Not only committing money, but also to expand your business. What it means is just like what Corey said, is about you raising revenue. So instead of that's a new word for me. Truly, that's a new word for me to say you are raising revenue. You're not raising capital. So instead of going around and raising capital, you have a trick now. What you just need to do is to pitch people to raise revenue, to use your product and pay you for using the product. That's quite amazing. And that is what you also have done here. And because a lot of people actually have this perception, they are working and they refuse to go to start their own business because they believe that they need so much money to start a business. Now look at it from Go ahead, please.
That's absolutely right. You don't need a lot of money to start a business. A business is about creating value, and that value. Business. The way I define business is it's a system for creating value, and you can do that without money. When I first started out, I shamelessly went and door knocked medical practices. I was renting a room from a senior colleague, and I walked up and down the hallways of that building, knocking on doors and saying, "Look, I'm new to the building. I'm a psychologist. This is what I do. I would appreciate any referrals." And I think you've got to be, in some ways, shameless like that, or as Corey puts it, confident, and pursue your dream. And if you have to work, to pay your way to survive, that's great, all well and good.
So you went that low,
side.
John. If I had you well, you went that low to knock in people's door to use your service. That's quite amazing. Yes. You see, some people feel now. People looking at you now, we don't know that you've gone that low to get this to work. I'm telling you the truth. People feel that everything just happened from the top. They don't know that there was some time when these guys were down the grass and trying to make things work, and they have to bring their ego down and make sure things are working. But they just, when they see you up there, this is Dr. John, he has this $1 million company, he has that, he has this, he has that. You just believe that everything just happened just like that. And it's a good thing that, that I like that we are doing, is to let people come and tell us the lowest time. We need to know what happened. So if you mean that you can go that road to be talking to get to know about your service and use your service, I hope a lot of audience are hearing this. So sometimes when you are starting off, you have to put your ego behind you. Just
Yes, absolutely.
bring your confidence on. Bring your confidence on and knock doors and make things happen. That is pure humility. And that is why you can grow this large. And that's why I even believe that you're going to get bigger than what you are right now. Because the secret of every entrepreneur, I believe strongly, is to be humble. Humility is key.
Yes.
If you're humble and you're confident about what you do, it's going to take you to anywhere.
Yeah, you have to.
It'll take you to anywhere.
Yeah, you have to put your. I had a massive student debt, and so the most adaptive thing I could think of doing was, well, you know, I have to create this on my own because no one's going to give me a hand up.
Wow.
So go knock on some doors.
Wow.
You know, that's the,
Wow. That also shows how you are not comfortable just working for people. You want to start your own business. It shows it's just an inborn thing. See, a lot of people are they have student debt. They are not able to get a job, and they just sit down there and they are not able to get a job, and they just sit down there and or people that it's easier. They're not looking for job. They couldn't get any job. They fit the
proper thing, right? We have our own community, we have our own little culture, and you know that's joyous, right? To get up and
Wow.
you go to work and you've created something like that.
Wow.
It's really rewarding.
Wow. What you're doing, and not about that, the way you are passionate and you enjoy the fact that you are creating value for your customer, even for your team, to be able to benefit. I think a lot of people should learn from this. So the eagerness to create value, you create value not only for yourself, for the people that are going to benefit as workers, as employee and as a team and whatever, and eventually even for the customers. So so you really think about this. If a lot of us are having this kind of mindset, then the world will be a better place. The world will definitely going to be a better place. So, quick one. Now we need to ask Dr. John a question. If you have any question for Dr. John, please go ahead and ask question. He's here to answer you. Yeah. We can only receive 2 questions now because we have taken too much of his time and we need to round up. If you have question, quickly ask question. Ask Dr. John question.
So I noticed there was one there, how to handle PTSD. And is anger a sign of, or excessive anger a sign of mental health issues? Well, if you're experiencing a negative emotion too much, so anger, sadness, fear, then I would say, yes, you want to have that checked out. And all of those are symptoms of PTSD or post-traumatic stress disorder. Trauma is widespread and is one of creates the greatest health burden, in my opinion, creates the greatest fixable health burden worldwide. PTSD comes about because we have 2 different memory systems. Our everyday living memory system that's mediated by language, and then we have our survival-oriented memory system. And when you are threatened or something bad happens or you nearly go desperately broke, you make these survival-type memories, right? And those memories are always trying to be processed into this language-based system. So the symptoms of PTSD, like nightmares, bad dreams, feeling like the bad things happening all over again and so forth, are your brain trying to move these memories from one system to the other. What gets in the road of that is avoidance. So the way to fix PTSD is to actually spend time breaking down those memories. So what's the story of that memory? How have I learned from that memory? How can I sit with that and accept it as part of my life?